How do we intro this?
That's a good question. Since I am the one responsible for it, I'll go and start. Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever episode of Internet Friends. For basically the first time ever. God, this is going to go as horribly as I thought it was going to. And that's exactly what I wanted this show to be.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So I'm your host, Aaron England. I'm here with Brie and Seth. Some
Hello.
good old buddies
Hello.
that, met on the internet 10 years ago and have, stayed in touch ever since. And that really is kind of the spirit of the show.
I mean,
Correct.
stayed in touch in quotation marks.
But mostly
We check in with each other.
we stalk each other's social media profiles in the least creepy way that we can.
But isn't that modern
Says you.
adult friendships? But isn't that modern adult friendships? You send a meme every once in a while, and that means I still care.
Yeah, exactly. That's my way of checking in with you, Seth, is literally just sending you the random Instagram reel or TikTok.
That's how I keep up with everybody at this point, dude. I don't speak to anyone outside of this.
It's the time.
But a little kind of background on the show. So this kind of goes back to a thing we did, way back in the day in 2011. Is how far back this goes, where we were all kind of part of a little internet community surrounded by another internet community, where we were doing movie reviews for the Like Totally Awesome page, which was run by Philip DeFranco and a couple of other people. And, out of that, we started organized Google Hangouts calls with some of the people who were a part of that.
And these stories that I do not remember. I was on a lot of Oxy at the time. I got to be completely honest with y'all.
It was a weird time. We were all in our late teens, early 20s, and there's some stories, definitely some of which we cannot get into without breaking some
Legally.
sort of some kind of NDA. But needless to say, we've all
Some people died, but no names.
Yes.
Oh shit! Someone actually did. I forgot.
cut
Up to
that
a
out.
roaring start.
Can't use that.
Oh, that's
That goes in the show notes. Good job, Seth.
Oh, we're not even 5 minutes in.
Nope.
But yeah, some of us fell in love, moved into other countries, moved back into countries, and all that was just Seth.
Yeah. I had a ride, but I'm working. Oh, wait.
But no, so it was a good time, and on the tails of that, the three of us created a show back in the day called Nerd Out Hangout, which was an offshoot of those old Google Hangouts that we used to do, and we did actually pretty okay with that. As far as Z-list internet personalities, to say the least, that I use Z.
Part of the alphabet, so we made
It
it.
was an X list, if anything.
I had at least over 1,000 followers on Instagram at one point in time.
All right, so you were a little higher up than I ever was.
Well, I was also posting cosplayer stuff, so I had a little bit of an advantage.
True.
Plus
Very
the
true.
Suicide Girl stuff, so had a little bit of a draw going on back in the day.
That will definitely help. Yeah.
But no, so we did that. We actually somehow suckered some cons into giving us press badges every now and again, and actually, produced content for those conventions. It's not like we didn't do anything off of it.
No, we didn't just be assholes running around. I mean, we were.
Yeah, but that was just
Still are.
Yeah.
So
exactly. But and then I moved from the Southwest out to Northern Virginia. Bree, she's got caught up in her own things. Seth tried to keep it running, but eventually.
Just tried to keep it running that's a lot.
But I think that's kind of a good place for us to start, kind of talking about the origins kind of things, because I was thinking back on it and just if we had just taken a little bit more time to commit to that, there's a lot of growth potential that thing could have had.
No, absolutely. I was thinking about it too, and I remember you guys actually hitting me up about it and being like, hey, we actually need to be on podcast platforms if we want to make a go of this. And I was like, we're getting close to the end. I'm seeing the door. Just leave it be.
And then I just show up and say, hey, let's do this again.
Yeah.
a cool 10 years later.
That is wild that it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
Yikes. I am old. I'm 1,000 years old now.
It feels like it. It feels like
I
it's
slipped
so
on
good.
some ice the other day and I fucked up my wrist. And it's just, I hate it. I hate being in my 30s now.
I was about to say, I feel like we all got hit by that winter blast. Are you guys still dealing with snow, or is it like thawed out for you guys yet?
It's thawed out for me here. It's 60 today.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's yeah, it's thawed out here too. It's rainy and wet, but it's like 40 degrees, I think. So which is it's pretty balmy actually. I'll take it.
Yeah, it was really weird because we just had like, we were part of that whole thing. We got like our big snowstorm of the year and, had to like get told to work from home like a couple of times out of the week. And then all of a sudden, like it hits 80.
Yeah, I know, climate change.
Yeah.
Right?
Not a thing.
We had some
Fake news.
No,
completely disagree. Yeah, it's completely made up.
there's absolutely nothing that shows that we are fucking up our planet whatsoever.
No, not at all. What was
It's
it like
fine.
for you going from Arizona to having snow?
Yeah, so going from New Mexico to
Oh shit, I'm so sorry.
you're not the only one who makes that mistake, but going from New Mexico specifically to the East Coast, I expected it to be worse, but I guess Virginia is also technically the South. And so they're not,
yeah.
they're like right in this like weird middle zone where they're not getting the huge snowstorms. They're not getting like the crazy hurricanes. They're not getting like really like if anything happens, we get like the dregs of it.
Okay.
So like it's not horrible. Like obviously the summers are the worst, honestly.
I can see
Like
that.
I can bundle up for the winter, no problem. The summers, like it's one thing to go from like, oh, it's 110-degree heat, but like you find a swamp cooler or some shade and you're fine. Whereas you go to Virginia, it's just like, oh, it's 95-degree heat, but also it's 80% humidity and all of your sweat sticks to your body.
Humidity will kill you.
Yes.
So, yeah, so that hasn't been fun. So yeah, so that's kind of what that experience has been like. So,
Okay.
kind of like leading into kind of what we were talking about with the nostalgia factor of this entire show. Um, a main kind of focus that we had was, obviously nerd culture with the whole nerd out thing. We all, gravitated around comic books, gravitated around, stuff that was going on in films and television. And, we all used to give each other comic book recommendations. How do you guys feel about a lot of that stuff now, like all this time later?
I don't
Do you
really
want to go
interact
first?
with it at all, to be honest. Like I still have like a shelf of comic books that is just kind of I've been slowly getting rid of. And actually I was thinking of just taking it all out this year and I'm probably going to get rid of most of it. Which makes me sad because it was such a big part of my life for such a long time, but like it's A, way too expensive to keep up with. B, just not as accessible as it once was. Like I think there is like one comic book shop in my area. And obviously the biggest thing is the oversaturation. It is just I don't have as much interest as I once did because even at that time when I was stopping not going to comic book stores and things like that, I would still watch the movies, but even that I have no interest in really interacting with anymore because there's just so much of it and it is lower and lower quality all the time.
Yeah, I have the same thing. When I moved out here, we had like 5, 10 comic book shops well within driving distance in Albuquerque, and then I move out here and there's one right next to like a university and like a big like strip mall type thing, and nothing for like the rest of the way. And it just doesn't seem like the culture for nerd culture stuff really is as present out here as it was in New Mexico when I was out there. I still keep tabs on a lot of the people who I ran with back in Albuquerque, but even they are like really just kind of burnt out on it and moved on. Like I still have like a couple of bins of comics and stuff that I keep around and stuff on the shelf, but in terms of like having it be like a core part of like my day-to-day life, it's just not there anymore.
Yeah, no, and I've noticed here a lot of comic book stores have been closing.
Yeah.
Like we used to have a bunch around the main metro area, and now there's really only two.
Yeah. Well, we saw like a really big boom when we were doing it back in the day. And I think,
Yeah, that was kind of the peak of nerd culture.
Yeah.
Was like Marvel was hitting, everyone was excited about what's DC gonna do? Video games were like getting incredible, and it was like, where's this going? Everyone was so excited, and then we all got let down horribly.
well, I think the main factor for it for me is the burnout, right? Is the fact that it's just like it's so saturated and there's so many things going on. And not to mention that is that you had all the other kind of like films and animated stuff coming out based on comics, and it's stuff that you didn't heard of, and you had all these people buying up these IPs that were just incredibly hard to keep up with.
Yeah. They were, and also the like all of the streaming services that have come out. Like, if you want to watch this adaptation, you got to have Prime. You want to watch this adaptation, you got to have Paramount. You want to watch this adaptation, and it's just like, I can't do it all.
Yeah, that got really bad. Like, especially, it was getting bad for a while, but the pandemic really expedited that kind of thing. So when that was going on, I was working at Discovery, and we all know what's been going on with Discovery in the last few years. They bought Warner
Completely
Brothers.
Normal man David Zaslav took over.
I do not know what documents I signed and what I'm allowed to say disparagingly or not, but that's going to be on me.
I didn't sign anything. I'll say whatever I want.
Agree. No, I agree. You guys say whatever you want. I'm the one who had to sign those documents. But no. But I wasn't involved in a lot of the decision making or any decision making whatsoever. Wasn't involved on the content side. I was literally just technology operations.
You say that, but it was your choice to put Batgirl in the bin. Like, you were very proud of that at the time.
Specifically.
If it makes you guys feel better, I did that out of love for Batgirl. Not.
Like, I stand by that.
I will defend that until my grave.
No, but so I was working on kind of one of their platforms they were coming out with, which was streaming based and around Food Network specifically. And so, they were trying to do live cooking classes and stuff like that. And even when that was going on, I was like, you guys are implementing this completely in the wrong way. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, people are going to pay money to like watch these live cooking classes. It's just like, okay, but why would they specifically pay for that if they're basically have no idea what it's going to be and ahead of time, or the host or anything else like that? Why would you pay for that when you can get Binging with Babish for free? Exactly. And why don't you just create a Twitch channel or a YouTube channel and live stream on there, and had that be the place that the live cooking classes live? Mm-hmm. And then what you do is you take those down and then you put them on your platform as like, hey, if you want to watch these or if you miss these, you can pay for the VOD of the thing. And there were so many decisions like this that they did. It was just like fundamentally not understanding how this entire industry works. Fast forward to a pandemic and work from home mandate and lockdowns and everything else, and they see like, okay, well, what's the big thing happening right now? Everybody's at home right now watching streaming services. Mm-hmm. We're going to put every movie, day and date, theatrical release on streaming as well. That's going to make us money. Yeah. So, so what do we got to do? We got to make our own streaming service, and we get Discovery Plus. And, Discovery Plus doesn't really go anywhere. Nope. Decent enough. I had it. I watched the fuck out of 90 Day Fiancé on it, and I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. No. This is perfect. That's important, though. This is, believe it or not, I found out how much revenue that show brought in Discovery, and they were living off of that thing. I can believe it. Have you seen how many spinoffs there are? Oh yeah. Oh, trust me. I'm aware of the spinoffs. You greenlit 4 of them.
Thanks, by the way.
Again, none of these things were a part of my job description. But regardless, and so they're kind of puttering along. They were doing okay. They were bringing in revenue. They didn't have to do much because they already had a library of content that they could put on the platform and have people watch. Everybody's going to watch HGTV all day and all night, thinking of houses they'll never be able to afford. But then eventually, AT&T decides to spin off Warner Brothers because they're tired of being a media company and they just want to go back to selling shitty internet and shitty cell phones. And Discovery goes into a shit ton of a debt to buy it. And a bunch of decisions are made, and that's basically where we've ended up now.
Well, and you could tell at the time that the move was very much about Discovery content more than it was the HBO content or the Max content.
Yeah, because that was not on the radar at the time.
No, I'm talking after the merger.
Well, yeah.
Even then, just as a consumer, it felt very much more like they were putting energy into the things that weren't HBO.
Yeah, and the reason for that was the fact that Discovery was the buying power of that, and so a lot of the executives and people who left after the merger were all the legacy Warner Brothers people, which actually made me feel like I was going to be a little bit more safe because it meant that, the Discovery people in charge were going to be in a little bit more control, but it didn't work out that way.
It rarely does, I'm finding out.
Yeah, but it was just like really interesting. Like that merger became a catalyst for what has become like the state of streaming and how streaming services operate with, getting rid of content and all the other things. And they're all discovering now, it's just like, weird. We made more money when we were just able to license our content to like 3 different streaming services, and we didn't have to pay a bunch of money for the upkeep of a digital platform that we have to have developers and support and all these other things for.
Yeah, it was much better when we were getting money licensing the stuff out.
Yeah. And also, like, as a result, they brought back piracy.
Yay! I mean, did it ever really go away?
I mean, it didn't go away, but, like, it was less of a talked about problem.
That's true. That is very true.
One of those things where it's just like, it had gotten to a point where it's just like, if you're taking the effort to pirate something, it's either because A, you can't find it in the first place, or B, you really were just a stick it to the man person who was never going to pay for those services to begin with.
Fair.
So, yeah, at that point, yeah.
Like, at that point, so it was just kind of like, it was just one of those things where it's just like, it's not even worth pursuing any kind of action to it, but because of how they've now killed content, screwed up things, priced people out of the market, it's now become a thing where it's just like, yeah, now regular people are just like, where can I download such and such website? Which also brings up the risk that comes with that, as all of us know from back in the day, of like, downloading off a sketchy website causes sketchy things to happen to your computer.
Yep, for sure. I mean, I never broke a computer using LimeWire, but many of my friends did.
Oh, I broke at least 3.
I didn't have a stable enough internet connection as a teenager to be able to do that.
The problem is that I did, and my dad was also pretty decent with computers, so anything I broke, like, he would be able to fix. But then also, he was cool enough not to tell my stepmom why it broke in the first place.
That's nice. That's very nice.
So, that's always important.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
a parent that's willing to lie to the other parent is always very nice to have.
Well,
That's parenting right there.
Well, especially the step parent,
Yes.
Who cares about the step parent?
I sure as hell don't.
Fuck them.
Yeah, Disney hated step parents.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's true.
That's what the entire trope they built was.
Did you know he was a 4-pack-a-day smoker?
Disney?
And that's why, like, he always has the 2 fingers together, is because they airbrushed out all of his cigarettes. I'm not saying anything our viewers won't already know, but yeah, he was like a massive smoker.
I mean, that's the right era for it.
True.
Like, like you say that, I was just like, well, he really cut back.
Yeah. For him.
There's a guy I work with, who's, the resident Gen Z person at the office, like, just barely about 21 years old. And he came in and was just like, yeah, there's just teenagers smoking outside. And I was just like, I'm sorry, the idea of teenagers smoking is weird to you?
Yeah. Well, it's because vape is dying. They got so used to the last decade of like, teenagers have vapes. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Always comes back.
I want to go back to a corncob pipe. That's what I want. I
was about to say there is actually a community. Hey, look,
this is my great grandpa's.
I have a humidor
awesome.
full of cigars, so
oh, nice.
But
cigars are a lot for me. I've been a smoker for a decade. I'm trying to quit, but cigars are a lot.
Yeah, they are
expensive. That's my caveat to everything. I'm just like, I just can't afford it. I don't know how people afford to smoke.
If it's important to you, you find the money.
I was about to say,
that's the spirit.
You have to remember, you're not spending money on more expensive things when you're just trying to afford your cigarettes. It's all about balance.
Yes. And my purchase will make me die sooner. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Great message.
The joke I used to make at work all the time was just like, look, I drink whiskey, I smoke cigars, and I ride a motorcycle. Do you really think I plan on living that long?
That's fair.
I was snorting Vicodin in my sophomore year. I think my body's fucked enough.
You two are wild. I'm like, I take edibles sometimes to go to sleep.
Oh, shit.
Legal edibles.
I was about to say, are we all now in states where it's legal? Because it used to just be Seth.
I think so. It's legal there.
Yeah, it's legal in Virginia.
I point as if any of you can
You
tell
know,
who I'm
there.
pointing at.
You're bottom, I'm top right on me, and then Bree's to my left. I don't know if it's the same for all of you
It's the
guys.
same on mine.
Okay, cool. That means they actually kept it consistent. That makes it easy.
Surprising. These websites usually don't.
Yeah,
Right.
I tried looking up if there was anything better than Discord for this, and basically the entire thing I got is like, yeah, if you're willing to pay money.
Ugh.
I was just like, we're
Money.
It's like I don't know if we're ever gonna make money off of this, so I'm not about to pay money for this.
Super fair.
I invested in a microphone and a pair of headphones for this. I am tapped out.
I was about to say, isn't that the same microphone that you had back in the day?
This is the fourth one of these I've bought.
Jesus Christ.
It works.
It works. It got a little hot there at sound testing, but
Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually went back and turned it down even a little bit more.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. But yeah, so Seth, Bree talked about how she kind of fell out of love with some things. What's kind of some of the things that you've fallen out with?
Comics is the same. I think at this point the only comics I still own are like my favorites and the ones that like you guys gifted me over the years.
You know, I saw the stuff you guys got me too.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like superhero stuff. I'm at a point now where I really only see the superhero movies I'm interested in, and that's very few of them. Yeah, Star Wars I've fallen out of love with. But tech, I was thinking about this question this week, and tech was the like big answer that kept coming back to me. I just don't give a shit about technology anymore.
Yeah.
Or the tech community in general. I can't stand tech bloggers at all.
No, yeah.
It's drive me nuts.
Yeah. No, I got a little bit more into tech recently, but that was because, you know, I started doing my normal market research thing. So, you know, I have to dive down all the rabbit holes. And I've already, like, gotten burnt out on that, too. And, like, you know, it's like, I got all the information I needed from you guys. I'm kind of just...
And that's kind of the thing. Every time I look into something new, it's like, oh, this is cool. Oh, okay. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I messed with a folding phone for a couple hours. I'm over it.
Yeah, but no, like especially, and I think that's driven a lot by what went wrong in nerd culture in general is that fandom kind of killed the whole thing.
Communities
Yeah.
suck.
They
Yes.
really do. Like dealing with, like, you know, you talked about Star Wars, and obviously, like, that's one of the things I've fallen off of pretty hard, and it is driven by the fact that it's just like, yeah, no, like, I can enjoy the content, but the moment there's any kind of discourse from fans and everything, it's just like, I've already checked out.
My ultimate issue with Star Wars is that it's a property that has now outgrown me and
Yes.
my love of it, meaning that, like, I tried watching Ahsoka, and I get a couple episodes in, and it's just like, I didn't watch Rebels. How am I supposed to keep up with it? I don't want to go back and watch that.
It runs
So I
into
guess I'm done?
it goes into the comic book problem of just like, where do you start and what do you jump into, and then it just gets super complicated.
It's homework. Yeah, you have to do homework you have to pre-watch things to be able to watch the things that you actually want to. It's like, I don't want to fucking do all this.
And
It's
Disney tried
exhausting.
to fix that when they first bought it, because they basically said all the extended universe is no longer canon. It's considered legends. Like, maybe we'll fold it back into canon later, but like from now on, like, if you were into this, cool, but it's not a prerequisite anymore.
And I was never into the expanded universe, extended universe, whatever. So hearing Thrawn's name means absolutely nothing to me.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's become a thing where it's just like you have people who desperately loved that stuff and are pissed off about the fact that it's no longer canon, and then you start building up your own new canon, and now it's gotten too complicated.
Yeah. And like you hear from a lot of communities, it's like, well, you got to make things for the diehards. You got to make things for the people who've like stuck with it. That's not where the $1 billion is.
Nope.
That's not. You can't make something for a specific group of people and expect it to like be successful.
And see, that was actually the thing that I kind of, you know, I talked about this when we did our pre-show a few weeks ago, but I talked about like how I think I might be like one of the few people who actually will say like I like The Last Jedi. And I like The Last Jedi specifically for all the reasons a bunch of people hate it. And
Fair, I guess.
Well, specifically, it was one of those things like it subverted expectations and basically said, we don't care who you built this character up to be in your head. This is who the character is.
It definitely subverted the expectation of it being an entertaining movie. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I mean, it was Rian Johnson, and I had already kind of been like met on that director to begin with. So
I will say the Knives Out movies are my favorite franchise being released
Knives
right
Out
now.
was good. That was a movie I will give
Need to
credit
watch
for.
those.
We watched Glass Onion a few months ago, actually, with some friends. But I didn't like Brick when it came out.
I've never seen that.
It was on Movie Club.
Oh shit, was it?
Yeah, it was
Brick's a
We
great
watched
movie. It's
so
good.
many movies, dude. I'm supposed
Yeah.
to remember all of them.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Yes.
is like a high school kid, but he's also like the local detective. It was one of those movies. It was a hard sell for me.
Yeah, I get why people don't like it.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
But that's the thing. So when I heard Ryan Johnson was doing a Star Wars movie, I was already in like a kind of like, okay, this guy likes to fuck with people, and he likes to do things that people don't like. So I might actually really like this.
My thing with that movie, in hindsight now, post Rise of Skywalker, there are scenes where he is so desperately trying to get Disney to just let him do his own thing,
Yeah.
and they're going, "No, give us the Hoth sequence."
That
And
is 110% what that movie is, and that's basically what I think the sequel trilogies will be remembered for, as the paint by numbers, let's just redo the things we already previously did, which was unfortunate because also so much of it was a middle finger to what they did in the prequels.
Yeah, that's true.
And-
And the prequels at that point had started coming around to where people who had grown up with them,
Yeah.
like us, well, Aaron and I know Bree didn't watch them until adulthood, right?
Actually, I got like, yeah, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
a very new Star Wars fan. Yeah.
Good for you.
But by that point, the hatred had really died down.
Yeah.
And people weren't angry about those anymore.
The prequel memes started becoming a very big thing. People who were younger and loved them, and like people who weren't necessarily tainted by like, the old school Star Wars fans thinking that they're the worst things ever. Just, people came around on them. Like even Clone Wars, which is actually one of like the best like animated shows, personally in my opinion.
Clone Wars did a lot. I didn't watch it.
But that was a show that people really hated when it first started coming out. But then, like, the people who it was specifically targeted was starting to grow up and be part of the discourse, and it just snowballed. I don't know if the sequels are going to have that same level of enthusiasm. But
I don't know. 'Cause I have little cousins who were like right at the target demographic age when those were coming out.
Yeah.
They loved Marvel, loved all this, and I'm like, well, what do you think about Star Wars? And they're like, I don't care. I didn't. So like
Yeah.
even that target audience didn't care.
Yeah, and I think that's also kind of one of the things I always judge any kind of media on a curve was like, was this made for me? Like if this thing was clearly not made for me, I'm not going to give a sizable opinion on it.
Yeah.
Like I'll say
You're not
like,
going to be all those people on Twitter complaining about Teen Titans Go to the movie or whatever. You remember that discourse when people
God,
were
I hated
pissed
that
about
so
that? And I'm like, it's a kid's movie.
yeah,
What are you talking about?
I was just like, it's not aimed at us. This is not for us.
And it's okay for things to not be for you, you know.
Yes.
Right? You gotta like gentle parent these people.
Yeah. No,
Well,
everything is for me all the time, and how dare it not be for me? I think that's like the TikTok culture now.
I was just about to say that leads into our conversations about the algorithm and how that has changed a bunch of stuff over the last 10 years of how everything is algorithmically bespoke to you and how just deciding to like something or spend more than 5 seconds looking at something now leads you down the path of an echo chamber.
I fucking watched too many Am I the Asshole stories on TikTok
Yes.
last night or the other day.
So were you just seeing Minecraft and like what was it, like the Subway Surfers, like
Yeah, it was mostly Minecraft parkour
Yeah.
underneath. But because of how the TikTok algorithm works, because I spent a lot of time watching that, it was like, hey, here's videos from other people that watch that. So all day today, it's just been right-wing content on my For You page. And I'm like, I hate that. Just scroll away. Scroll. Fuck.
Yeah,
God,
like
okay.
you try whatever you can to break that.
Yeah.
Like I actually, mine's all pretty much just been Baldur's Gate and AVN content. Go figure.
Oh, right. That was this
Last
weekend?
week. It was last week.
Last week. Okay. All right. Yeah.
But yeah, but like there was also like a couple of news stories that came out of that.
Out of AVN? What happened at AVN?
Well, it didn't happen at AVN, but Jessie Jane died.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, she was found dead in her Oklahoma home with her boyfriend, and I don't know if you guys were into.
Did he do it?
They said no foul play. I'm assuming.
Oh,
It's
okay.
probably
Looking up who this is.
safe search on.
No,
Oh,
safe
okay.
surf off, Brie.
It's always
Och.
off.
This is why we're
I
all
actually,
friends.
I don't remember what I was looking up. I was looking something up the other day, and it gave me that alert that's like, hey, your safe surf is off, by the way. You should probably turn that on. I'm like, no.
Absolutely, yeah, I know.
Oh no, please.
I'm aware that it's off. So, yeah, Jessie Jane Jai, but also assuming Max, she was very big in the burlesque and pinup scene. She was also found dead in her home in Las Vegas.
Man.
So,
Oh, goodness.
yeah, those are pretty big. Those, obviously, like, the assuming Max is probably a little bit more big in my scene since I have, like, a connection to, like, the modeling, cosplay, burlesque pinup community. So, I knew a lot of people who knew her, so that was a pretty big deal. So, yeah, but like the main thing is being a lot of Baldur's Gate and D&D content because, it's just like, hey, you actually have spent too many hours playing this game. Would you like to see more of it?
And that's the real freaky thing about algorithms is that, like, and I know phones are listening. I don't know why I say it's real freaky, but like I was talking to somebody about Spider-Man 2, and then my entire For You page the next day was Spider-Man 2. It was like all Spider-Man content.
Bray, what's your For You pages looking like these days?
Just thirst traps, to be honest. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, so it's still 2021 for you then.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that algorithm.
Oh,
2020, 2021 algorithm was so good.
Dude, like, it was one of those things just like, look, I realized I'm only using this to watch thirst traps, and it's fine. And, like, basically all me and my wife did all day was send each other thirst traps. Like, it was great.
What a
Hashtag
time to be
goals.
alive. I would say to be, but kind of going along those, like, unfortunately, I'm on, like, kind of like this is going to sound terrible. I'm a feminist, obviously, but like I like one feminist thing, and then I get constantly bombarded about like men just doing the worst fucking possible things and women responding to them, and it's just like
Which, in fairness, we do a whole lot of horrible things.
so many horrible things all the time. So
We
it's just
do a lot of horrible things, specifically.
truly. So now I have so much of that content, and I'm like, it's tough because like I want to, because this and like on anything on the political spectrum, like I want to like those videos, but I do not want to see them constantly because it's just very overwhelming. So I'm just like, that's my feed right now.
the negativity hole is like one of the big thing that like kind of fascinates me because like obviously negative content, like being angry about something, being upset about something, like it creates engagement gets
It
seen in
sells.
the algorithm is just like, oh hey, this thing is what gets engagement, this is what goes in.
That's
literally
why we had the
I was like, that's how we got the alt-right movement in the first place. Like
that whole pipeline. But that's also like the reason why like any type of review on the internet for the last several years has been either you hate it or you love it. You cannot be middle
Yes.
ground on anything.
you can't
because
be
that
like
doesn't get views.
you can't be like this wasn't really for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I see why Brie would be into this, but like I'm just like, I don't get it.
It's got to be that like
You have
it's got to
to-
get a response. It
Yeah.
can't just be that's fine.
You have to take a stance, you have to get a response, and you have to like be bold about it. You can't just be like you can't be meh.
No.
It skews towards negativity for sure because it's like we were talking about streaming services earlier. Like I honestly don't have any streaming service at all because I'm still very much a YouTube person. I like short format content. Like it's just like it's way easier for me, especially like exhausted after a day of work. I just want to watch like a Markiplier Let's Play or something that is comfortable, that is short, that I know it is there for me. It's fine. But if all on even though I fucking have my history off right now for this exact reason, all of the videos on the side are just like, can you believe that this video, like it is the most negative, sensationalized shit about things that I don't even care about. But it's just like, in fact, just recently it was all about the new fucking Disney movie Wish, like how much people hated it. And I was like, I don't interact with this shit at all, but every fucking video is like, this is the worst movie ever created. I'm just like, and that's clearly it's what people are clicking on. So
YouTube's shorts algorithm is probably the worst out of all
Yes.
of them.
I rarely interact with YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, it's mostly just people like taking like a Joe Rogan interview or a Ben Shapiro, like just like it's all.
That's a lot of TikTok too.
It's all just like clips from podcasts and because like YouTube also has a remix feature, which if you're uploading YouTube, I'll make sure it's off when this goes up, but it allows other people to take your video and to create a YouTube short off of it. And they can apply their own edit, their own like music underneath and everything. And so like it's actually like a creator for that style of video.
Wow. YouTube just finds new and more creative ways to fuck over their creators, don't they?
Yeah,
Yup.
and yet they're still the only one that pays them.
Oddly, right? So weird.
Yeah, it's so weird that YouTube still remains the only platform that like seems to understand how monetizing creation on it works. Like I understand it's not that simple and most of it comes down to corporate greed.
Mhm.
But like even like looking at Twitch where that seems to be like the big one that everybody's trying to make money off of these days. Even that one's not like you have to be cream of the crop to get any kind of traction whatsoever.
Yeah, well, and even then, there's been a history of big Twitch streamers leaving the platform to go to somewhere
Yep.
else.
Yeah.
Everybody ends, and a lot of them try to run to YouTube because YouTube's the only one that has a solid model. Like obviously you have the Patreons and the OnlyFans and stuff of the world, but like that's not for everybody.
Remember when OnlyFans was like, "Hey, we're not about porn," and everyone was like, "Shut the fuck up."
It's
Yes,
just
you
like,
are.
look,
Okay.
look, Tumblr already tried this and it killed them. What do you think it's gonna do to you?
Yeah. But now, speaking about that negative spiral, like my TikTok for you page for the last little while has been exclusively the world is ending. World War
Yeah.
III is starting. Look at all these
Mhm.
global tensions. Look at the economy. Just give up is what my for you page
Yeah.
has been telling me for
Yeah.
weeks now.
Yeah, it's like almost as if that kind of divisive rhetoric is how we ended up in all these problems in the first place.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's tough. It's too much information. I think that's kind of the the basis of all of this. It's just like you want to be informed about that stuff and you want to interact with all this kind of content, but I don't know. It's overwhelming.
Well, it used to be you had more
Totally.
control over that. You had more control over the voices you were listening to. You know,
Yes. Mhm.
as much as like, you know, we can make fun of like certain YouTubers we used to follow back in the day, like at the same time it's just like I chose to get my content from this person. It was not forced down my throat. If I listen
They
to
didn't just show up in front of me.
yeah, if I like if I watched this content and I didn't like it, I could just move it on. I can leave a mean comment and dislike the thing and then I would never see it again.
Well, and there was also a difference in the way we consumed internet media a decade ago, in that it was, even though smartphones existed and you could watch Netflix and watch YouTube, all that on your phone, the screen sizes were still really small. Most people preferred a laptop or desktop to watch that kind of content. And when you have a dedicated space for that, that isn't your TV, you have that opportunity to close it and be like, okay, I'm going to go watch TV now. I'm going to go
Yeah.
do something else over here. Whereas now, I have YouTube on my TV,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I can just pull it up there.
Yeah. No, it's the constant scrollification and like I said, like you know, all these platforms want you on them as long as possible watching content on them because that's how they make sure they can get their ad dollars. It's in terms of basically allowing people to actually have control over the way that they consume content, it's been very, very bad. And it's how
You have to be, as a consumer, you have to be on top of everything at this point.
yeah, and media savvy is not easy. Like, you know, I have a whole ass journalism degree. And like I still know people who
Oh, you went to college. Look at you, big boy.
Oh, big college, man.
yeah, the $35,000 of debt says otherwise. Using a degree I don't use.
That's everyone though, right?
Just about. But now, so not to kind of keep it in reminiscing about the old days, but what are you guys kind of into now?
I need to
I've
think
been
about
playing.
that.
I've been playing a lot of video games recently. I seem to go through phases where I'll play like one new game a year, and then there will be a year like the last few months where it's just I'm playing tons of shit, and that's been really fun. I'm getting back into movies and music. I got away from that for a little while, but that's really it. Boring stuff.
No,
Sleep.
no.
I love sleep.
Sleep is
Oh,
amazing.
sleep is so great,
As a matter of
especially in the
fact,
wintertime.
I think sleep is
good.
the main reason I'm not into as much stuff anymore because I'm spending so much time doing that instead.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. And also just like working all the time. I come home and I'm exhausted. I don't want to do any of the things because I'm like,
that is literally the biggest struggle. Like and like you going back to talking about like how you don't have streaming services or anything. It's one of those things where it's just like I literally spent the last 8 hours looking at a computer screen. I don't want to be looking at a screen right now.
that's an excellent point. Yeah, exactly.
And then like, or it's just like I sure as hell do not want to be like watching a show on Netflix after I was like just working on a whole thing. Like I just want to like maybe I'll watch a YouTube thing. Like YouTube has become more research for me than it has become entertainment for the most part. Like I'm looking things up, or I'm just looking at how other people do things for the most part, and just kind of like picking it apart. But like it's like the thing that Seth said with music, where it's just kind of like when you start doing it professionally and doing all that other stuff, you just like lose all passion for it.
And it takes a minute to get that passion back.
Oh yeah, no, and that's a big part of why I'm doing this. Is just
There's a reason I haven't put out an album in 4 years.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a reason I stopped doing photography for the most part, and like stopped hitting up models and stuff. Where it's just kind of like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Tired. We're old.
Sweepy. I also, speaking of things we're into, I've gotten into collecting physical media,
Yeah,
which I know is a waste of money, but I like it.
mean, you'll look like a bandit when you're the one with the only Blu-ray copy around for whatever thing that HBO Max decides to take off and kill next. So yeah,
Right. I don't have a follow-up joke for that. If you give me a few minutes, I can come up with something.
yeah. Brie, what about you? Is there anything that you've been into now?
I go into like phases of things like I love playing video games, but like I think I was mentioning this in our pre-show where it's just like I've been playing Baldur's Gate, but like I don't think I've touched it in 2 weeks. When I play games, I am very much like I will play this game every day for 5 days straight, and I will do nothing else, and then I will put it down on that 6th day, and I will not touch it for 2 months. And that is just very much how I operate. So that's where I'm in that like low phase of that. I've been playing, so I have been playing Baldur's Gate, but I also have been playing shorter games. I'm trying to get back into like Spiritfarer. I don't know if you guys have played that, but it is an excellent game. It is so fucking sad, which is why I haven't played it. You're basically you're like the ferryman, and you take people to the afterlife, and then you get to know them while they're on your little boat, and then they're ready to move on, and you get very attached to them, and it's very sad. I have cried so much in that game. It's excellent. It is stunningly beautiful. It is gorgeous, but it is so sad. So in fact, one of the characters is ready to go, and I have stopped playing the game because I'm not ready to say goodbye to them. But it's a beautiful game. And outside of that, I've just been like, I'm recalibrating right now because it's January. I'm just kind of assessing where I'm at. And I've been reading actual books again, which has been very exciting. I read 22 books last year, which was so fucking exciting because I have not read like more than 4 books in like, I want to say about 10 years. So,
Wow.
yeah, I'm blown away. It turns out I like reading. I had no idea.
Right.
Even books without pictures.
Yeah.
That's
it
what I'm
turns out.
saying.
I had like a
No
good
idea.
like year and a half long stretch where like I got into reading, and I was reading a lot of nonfiction actually.
Mm.
And so that got like really good, and then I just completely fell off that cliff again. Right.
During COVID, I read so much Stephen King. I needed controllable scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
That's basically Stephen King's MO for the most part.
Well, that and a bunch of creepy shit, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, no, so like it's one of those things where like I'm kind of just letting myself jump in and out of things and not like kind of committing my entire personality to anything.
And that's
Not
healthy.
yet.
Yeah, I mean that was like the main reason I took a year off drinking like middle of COVID, where it was just kind of like my entire life is turning into this one thing and it's not good.
Wait, have we all taken time off drinking over the last few years?
I'm pretty sure we have.
I think we all developed substance abuse problems during COVID and
Oh, yeah,
quarantine. Like, I think that was just like
absolutely.
everyone did that.
Oh, absolutely.
Developed during COVID is a very loose term for me. I have had it for a while.
It was one of those things where it was there, but like COVID basically was just like, let's turn this up to 11.
I see that.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I took a year off, came back, haven't been nearly as bad as I was, much better at moderating for the most part. Still partake, but like again, like my main thing is just like I don't want this thing to be my personality.
That's important.
And that's a hard thing to do.
That was a weird thing when I got to my late 20s and people were still making alcohol their personality and like how drunk they got on the weekend their personality, and I'm like, why don't you grow up a bit? Why not?
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a problem.
Yeah, it's just like I don't mind like going to the brewery or like every now and again or like whatever. It's just like that's fine, but it was one of those things where it's just like I do not want my entire life consumed about this one thing.
Yeah, you can have a drink or 2 drinks. It does not need to be, just like pounded drinks
you
back.
can have a drink or 2 drinks. I can't, but other people can.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I drink to have a good time. when
Fair
I'm
enough.
alone.
I drink so I can sleep at night.
Alcohol keeps me up. I can't drink to fall asleep.
What does caffeine do to you?
Nothing.
So you might have ADHD.
Oh, I do. I haven't been diagnosed, but it's there. TikTok has confirmed.
I was about to say
Same.
that's another TikTok thing of just like everyone has ADHD now,
ADHD or autism.
or both. In my case,
Or both.
I will say, I think it's increasingly more likely that that's just true. So,
I think ADHD was basically like developed as a way for us to explain a problem, and then you realize that everybody actually has this problem.
Yeah, I
until
think
you
the
meet
neuro.
people that don't.
Yeah, and then you're just like, wait, so let me get this straight. I'm the weird one?
Yeah. What do you mean you don't like remember weirdly specific dates? And like I can tell you the day that I met Aaron. I know the date that I met him. Why do I know that?
What do you mean I can repeat an encyclopedic knowledge of the X-Men all the way up until 2005, but anything after that just doesn't exist? What do you mean my wife can't find the thing that she specifically put in a specific place and I just happened to move it while I was stress cleaning?
Oh, I love a good stress clean.
I was doing that yesterday.
I haven't had one in a while. I need one. I definitely need one.
Guys, let's
Yeah, I
stress
noticed
them.
you got
That's
a
the
nice
homework.
bokeh going on to cover the background.
Oh yeah, it's not that bad. It's mostly just Fox's crate is right over on this side, and then of course Emily's playing Baldur's Gate in the background right now, so she'll want a little bit of privacy.
Fair enough.
You know, she's spending time with her boyfriend.
Of course, naturally.
You got it. You
Wait,
got it.
boyfriend?
Well, yeah, she's an Asterian girly. I told you this.
Oh yeah, that's fair. He's hot. I get it.
I mean, I'm a Karlach simp, as I've
That's what I thought. I assumed everyone was.
Yeah, no, like I'm unapologetic. I tried to romance Shadowheart during my Warlock playthrough, and I just ended up, you know, with Karlach again because Karlach just cornered me one night, and I was just like, all right, I'm in.
Like,
I don't
oh
play
well.
I don't play Baldur's Gate, or at least I haven't yet. But I have been replaying Doom Eternal, and if I could seduce the Whiplash, I would. That is a sexy ass demon.
That's basically what Karlach is for the most part.
A weird snake creature that like
Googling
crawls around on the
Whiplash.
floor.
Well, like half demon.
Let me see if
that's
I
on
would
fire.
smash this.
You don't.
Oh no.
Safe search off.
Okay. No.
New safe word is safe search off.
Y'all are sick.
I was screaming that at my my dominatrix.
But no,
He's
you should
whipping
definitely
me.
get on
Safe
Baldur's
search
Gate.
off. Safe search off.
You should definitely get on Baldur's Gate. It's on PS5, so you'd be able to play it.
Yeah, because I'm a filthy console gamer.
How
Yeah.
dare you in this day and age?
How dare you?
I will say,
How dare you save money?
yeah, I don't have to upgrade my PC every 3 months.
How dare you just want a stable, consistent experience instead of dealing with the joys of like game crashes and just things not working and having to spend hundreds to thousands of dollars just to replace one piece of equipment.
I know. I don't even know what I was thinking. I will say, speaking about playing games, though, a short experience that I played for the PlayStation 5 is a game called Interaction Isn't Explicit, and it is a playable essay about game design. It was phenomenal. And I know it's on PlayStation 5. I don't know if it's on PC, but if it is, I highly recommend you play it. It's
That
really
sounds like
good.
something that would be available on PC somewhere.
It was really, really good. I just played it yesterday.
So yeah, Brie, I know another thing that we talked about in the pre-show a while back was like you started doing D&D. What's that been like?
Well, I had a very typical D&D experience last night where we had to reschedule. So
I thought you were gonna say where it's just like where I had to flirt with one of my best friends and then we ended up hooking up last night. But
well,
What are you doing at your games?
again, Seth, I think you're the weird one here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
you're being so weird right now.
How dare I not play Dungeons and Dragons?
Weird, but it's been fun. We haven't met in a little while. Like again, it's hard for us to. Well, here's the thing. Our cleric last night, which I found out because I hung out with her today, she skipped our game because she had a potential to get laid last night, and she did. And I was like, I guess that. I mean, kind of rude, but yeah, I hear you.
Look,
So
I'm always pro my friends getting laid, so I'm never really mad at them about it. It's, whenever they're
I
just like, it's like if they're gonna get dick or if they're gonna get, anything else, it's just like, look, you go do you, boo.
yeah, so it's we haven't played, but it's been, and D&D is super fucking fun. That's all there is to it. And we make good progress sometimes. We mostly don't because we just talk about random shit the entire time and just fuck around a whole lot. But it's a good time. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Play with women only. Men are terrible.
Again, fair. I do think it's kind of interesting because I feel like D&D was like a thing that really started picking up traction, in the
I
last
think that's
like
Stranger
5
Things
years.
effect.
I think it's Stranger
Yeah.
Things, but I also think it's the fact that you have things like Critical Role and Dimension
Yes.
20
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff
there were other
that
shows.
presents D&D in a more quote unquote realistic way of like how a game is actually done. Because like for the longest time, from anybody outside looking in, looking at D&D, it was always this like basement dwelling, incel type kind of activity, and then
Satan worshiping.
yeah, like all
I
that.
grew up in a church. It was Satan worshippers and
Yeah, but like
And we do that, listen, but
of course,
I'm for that, by the way.
yeah, no, we all hail Satan. We can say that.
Yeah,
publicly
exactly.
very
We all cut pentagrams into our palms,
Yeah.
and then we rub them together.
is I'll send my vial of blood to you guys so you can mix it in with your guys' thing. You'll have to reopen the wound, but like we'll make this work. But no, like I think there's been a certain amount of visibility and accessibility to the hobby that takes away a lot of the stigma that it kind of used to have, and like kind of realizing like especially I talked about this with you, Brie, where it's just like I like what Baldur's Gate is doing because it explains the mechanics of D&D in such a way to where it's just like you're walked by the time you're finished with like at least the first or second act, it's just like, oh, I more or less understand how this is supposed to work. Like
yeah, it can be overwhelming. It's an overwhelming game, but I mean, accessibility is a huge thing. And I think it kind of circles back to nerd culture in general, that it has been a thing that has been gatekept for
Oh, yeah.
kept for such a long time.
yeah, D&D was like probably the poster child for gatekeeping for a very good stretch there for a while.
Yes.
In my experience, reverse gatekeeping, where it's not the community that's keeping people out, it's the outside keeping people from going in.
Yeah. I think
Interesting.
I think initially, when, again, going back to like the Stranger Things kind of thing, once that started getting more people interested in coming in, you have that initial sort of like pushback that always comes in nerd culture things that is just like, oh, they only got into it because they watched a show on Netflix and that kind of stuff. But like now it's more or less like, through the streaming stuff, through like people actually being able to see like how an actual campaign looks and how people interact and how they enjoy having fun with it, and realize like, oh, it's not just people playing out a Lord of the Rings fantasy. It's like mostly just a bunch of people fucking around and just being weird. It's more or less
You don't have to LARP about it, you could just show up with your friends, eat snacks, and like
Yeah.
just improv.
yeah. And so, but yeah, no, the fact that like the mechanics are becoming easier to understand for some people, and the fact that like that people have a better understanding of how these things works, that's led to like a big resurgence, and especially like with all of the TikTok D&D memes just going around.
Did you guys see the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Me and him
I
watched
loved it.
I thought it was really entertaining. Like
it's
it wasn't
exactly
amazing,
what it
but it's
needed
fun.
to be as far as like
Exactly.
the things. Like it's just like if they had went full on like again like dungeon crypt, just like taking it too seriously, full on LARPing, it wouldn't have been good. But they had fun with it. They kept it a little light. It didn't need to be something crazy. So yeah, no, I had no problem with it. It's not a movie like I'm gonna watch again, but
Right.
Probably will. I'll probably watch it again, at least once.
after like a few
But I
episodes,
have lower standards than both of you.
we know.
Yeah, you've seen Who I Date.
We had to get one in, so
No.
Just one. By the way, I'm not going to be that guy this time. The last time I played that character up, I love my exes. They are, for the most part, great people. Except for one.
Oh.
Everyone else is great.
I know the one you're cool with. I don't know the one that you don't like, so I'll keep that in ether.
my exes are terrible. So I mean, good on you for being a good person.
I'm a cis white male. I cannot have bad feelings towards my ex-girlfriends. That's not a good look for me.
Fair. That's fair.
I am indifferent. Just completely
That's a good way
indifferent.
to be.
Once I found
Yeah,
out the
but
baby wasn't.
you've been with the same person for the last 12 years.
Yeah, that makes it easier. But I'm just
Fair.
saying, like, when I found out, like, the last one and the baby in the photo wasn't mine, it was just like,
Oh, dude, I had a thing like that recently where I was holding up some of my own pictures against another kid, and I'm like, jury's still out, but she says it's not mine.
all right, fair enough.
That's all you need.
It's all fun and games until there's a court order and a DNA test.
Yes.
Yep. What money is she gonna get from me?
Exactly. Like, what's the point?
She's gonna take that mic. You're gonna have to
Yes, the $50 mic that he's been using since 2013.
Yep.
oh my gosh.
All right. Well, so yeah, but yeah, it sounds like we're all kind of like more or less balanced out and like kind of keeping things on rotation and not getting too super sucked into anything in specifically.
I wouldn't say that. I still hyperfixate on a lot of things. It's just
Yeah.
not nerd culture anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's basically where most nerd culture came from. It was very highly capitalizing on our ADHD, and then eventually the serotonin ran out, and now they need to come up with a new marketing plan.
Yeah, yeah. And there was also an excitement of like people are talking about the thing I love.
Yeah.
You know, for those of us who weren't gatekeeping at the time,
Yeah.
it was like this. Oh, cool! It's acceptable now.
We were also very bad at not making our extensive knowledge and wanting to talk about it not sound like gatekeeping.
True.
Like,
That is true.
Like when you do your deep dives and you like gather up all this information, and the moment somebody's like, "Oh, I was really into this thing," and then you just like info dump onto somebody, like it can be construed as like, "Oh, like this person's like quizzing me on stuff and like questioning my nerd cred on." It's like, no, I just want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm just excited, and I'm not mansplaining. I'm just excited.
Yeah, but that line is not super thin, but it's definitely something that could be easily get misconstrued. Anyways,
Absolutely.
so talking about some topics active in the world, have you guys been following what's been going on with Pal World?
My partner's playing it.
Okay, cool. So Bray's gonna know the most about it.
Has he enslaved any merchants?
What I know is that he barely talks to me. So.
Well, a new hyperfixation video game will do that, Bray. It's not personal.
Oh, 100%. Like, well, he'll be like, I'm playing Pal World. I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave my phone downstairs because you are not going to be talking to me for the next 6 to 12 hours.
Oh,
so.
trust me, Emily on Baldur's Gate was very, very bad for like the first 3 months.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, people seem to really enjoy it. I mean, I think I was just reading that. I think there was like 2 million or whatever, like congruent players playing that game. Like it's insane how much engagement this game is getting. So I have not played it personally. I don't have a strong interest in playing it, but people are digging it and having a good time. So
no, the main thing I've seen about it is that it started with like the whole meme of like hey, look at us do this Pokemon ripoff, and then it just filed. There's like, oh, there's actually a solid game here, and then like also since it's basically a Minecraft survival type game mixed with Pokemon mechanics, it hits that like, again, that ADHD like hyperfixate crowd that like World of Warcraft, Minecraft, all those kind of types of games like really like sucks that kind of personality in. Just seems kind
It's
of
a
like
game you can almost play indefinitely, it seems.
yeah.
yes.
So like the interesting thing that is kind of going around right now is like now that like the popularity has blown up is like, are we cool with them just making a blatant Pokemon ripoff? To which I say yes.
I mean, I don't like a lot of the choices Nintendo makes and how protective they are of their properties. So it is fun seeing somebody get one over on them for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, normally they're so on top of this kind of stuff to where like the fact that the game even came out in the first place is kind of a big deal. And I think a lot of it has to do, I've seen talking about like how this is also technically a Japanese property. It's all happening in like the Japanese legal system, where a lot of the times wherever like Nintendo goes after an American-based creator or company or something, it's always just kind of like a DMCA slapdown real quick, and there's like no recourse.
Yeah, and copyright laws are way more lax in the East than they are here.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at most manga for the most part. That's A lot of stuff looks very the same. That was one thing that I never really got super into.
Well, it's something that like guitar companies have been dealing with since the 70s
Yeah.
is like these Japanese companies just completely ripping off the body shapes and headstocks and everything.
Yeah. Well, that's also kind of like a big problem with manufacturing in China, where it's just like you're going to get a Chinese knockoff real quick because all they need is like the basic schematics and they can just make it. And it's just like, what are you going to do?
And you've activated my hyperfixation. So, no.
And go.
Nailed it.
Uh,
Yeah, it seems fun. I haven't played it. And I will say, I know a lot, they were saying that some of the designs were like direct copies of Pokemon, and I've seen the side by sides. I don't think a lot of them are that close. I think you just mash enough stuff together and it's a creature. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really buy that part of it.
I think for me, more than anything else, is that like if you put the creature side by side to a Pokemon and you had to ask me to pick out which one's the Pokemon and which one's the PAL world creature, nope, wouldn't be able to figure it out.
At this point, there are a lot of Pokemon that if you put them next to a Digimon, I can't tell the difference.
And see, that was my other point. It was just like, look, technically, Pokemon was a ripoff of Dragon Quest monsters.
I've seen that a lot. I've seen a lot of people saying that.
And then, like, you had Digimon happening at the same time, which, well, you know, you can argue about who was
Tamagotchi, but yeah.
Yeah. But, like, the thing is, it's just kind of like one of those things where it's just like, you know, they took the general idea, had some fun with it. You know, they kind of gave you the piss a little bit, like playing up the, like, oh, hey, we have a bunch of underage kids capturing woodland creatures and having them fight each other, and, like, played it up to, like, now we're enslaving them and making them child soldiers.
It's the ultimate conclusion to the meme of, is Pokemon just dogfighting?
I mean, it always has been. I don't know how anybody argues that. Like, obviously, it's always had, like, a lighter kids feel, but, like, at the end of the day, it's like, we're trying to sell toys in a video game first, and so you had to have a basic fighting mechanic, and then you built an entire empire off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More power to them. That's all. If people are enjoying it, and clearly people are, awesome. Sounds good. I love that for that. Give me my partner back. Thank you.
You have at least another 2 weeks, Brie. I would advise you go do some Brie time. You know, here.
Yeah, consider it a vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Let's see, the only other thing I have on the dock before we get to the final segment, big news that happened this last week that I got really excited about. Jon Stewart's returning to The Daily Show. He's going to be on as an executive producer and be on Mondays during the election cycle, and they'll continue to do their rotation of hosts using their correspondence. So
that's cool.
I don't know what your guys' relationship was to The Daily Show. I obviously have a kind of big connection to it because in terms of the comedy world and the media world that I was in, specifically in journalism, The Daily Show was like a great example of just kind of like how to do a news program, believe it or not. And the funny thing about it is like they were parodying doing a news program the entire time under Jon Stewart's tenure, and so I'm excited he's back. I know he had his show, The Problem, with Jon Stewart on Apple TV for a bit, and then he got kicked because he pissed off Apple, which I respect. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of...
Very easy to piss off Apple, by the way.
Well, absolutely. I mean, all you have to do is say, it's just like, oh, yeah, I own an Android.
No, watch this. I don't like the iPhone 15 Pro. Boom. We're never being invited to a single Apple event.
Damn it.
Of course we weren't. We have 0 subscribers.
Hold on, I'm clearing my calendar, I guess.
But no, like, this was an excited kind of thing for me. It's, you know, he's somebody who I think's voice been missing a very long time in the heat of a lot of, you know, the discourses we've been having. I think it'll be nice having him in that driver's seat again.
Yeah, I can see that. I was more of a Colbert fan because my parents were Republican when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So...
Well, like, and that's what the offshoot was. It was just like, okay, we have the CNN-ish, like, kind of show, and it's followed by, like, the Republican punditry parody, followed by Colbert. And Colbert, honestly, I probably watch more Colbert than I ever watched Daily Show. And so, when he dropped the character and went to late night, I was just like, man.
That was shocking for a lot of people when he dropped that character.
Yeah.
And it was like, do you really think that's who he was?
See, that was the funny part, though, was that there were so many people who didn't understand that, like, no, 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 no. He's making fun of you.
Yeah. But that's the ultimate issue with satire in
Yeah.
general, is that there are always going to be people watching it and laughing because they think, oh, you agree with me.
And that's always been the biggest issue. That was actually a big issue of Jon Stewart, where it's just like a lot of people felt like he tried to wash his hands of like any kind of like media critique or responsibility by saying like, hey, this is a joke satire show. It's not real. Like you want to be mad at like a news show for being bad at the news. Go yell at the actual one, not us. And so that's kind of like a big thing. It's just like it's really ridiculous, like how much like that punditry has just gotten more insane, especially as more and more people get platformed without. They don't need to have a big multinational corporation behind them. All they need is some cameras, some microphones, and basically just be willing to say most outlandish shit possible.
Huh?
And then they can all just be like, "Yeah, it was a joke."
Satire.
You gotta love satire.
Mm. All right, well, that's kind of leading us down toward the end. So, Brie, you have been assigned with giving us homework for the week.
So, as I mentioned, I have two options because I'm interested. You either are going to know what I'm talking about or have no idea. So,
Okay.
my first suggestion was Has Been Hotel.
Oh, wow.
Fucking knew you were gonna suggest that. I saw your Instagram post
I
about
was
it.
about to say that just hit my algorithm the other day. That's
Did
another
you guys
one.
see the music video that DJ on YouTube, or not DJ, beatboxer on YouTube paid for? Or I think
I was going to say, if you know about this, it's going to be from that. So,
yeah, that's what I know it from.
All right.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it. So
I haven't watched it either, but 50K ruined his whole business.
yeah, that's a lot of money. But I mean, like, animation costs a lot of money, and it was like a
Yeah.
3-minute animation or something. Like that
yeah.
is a lot of production time.
No, it's always hilarious. Like every now and again, my workplace will come to me and be like, "Hey, can you do this animation work?" And I'd be like, "Can I hire 50 people and you guys give me a budget of however many hundreds of thousands of dollars?"
Animation,
Like,
Like not to answer your question with a question, but
but I'm gonna anyway.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so if you guys are down with that, I did want to mention just a couple quick things about it. One, I would recommend watching the pilot first, because the show goes immediately from the pilot as if you had watched it. And small background on that, the pilot came out in 2019. It was just like somebody who animates got a bunch of their animator friends, their voice actor friends, to like throw this pilot together. A24 picked it up. That now it's on Amazon Prime. So it's been many years in the making. The fan base was really excited about it. And if you're familiar with Hell of a Boss, it's a kind of adjacent to that, made by the same people. So pilot is on YouTube and the first episode is on YouTube. The rest of it is on Amazon Prime. The season finale will be next Thursday. And they are like 22-minute episodes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Amazon page right now, and yeah, it looks like there's currently 6 episodes on there. And you said the pilot's on YouTube, or is like the pilot?
Yes, the pilot is on YouTube. So,
Okay.
yeah, and honestly, part of the reason I want to talk about this is because I want to talk about the fan base around this show, and get into a further discussion about that, about fan bases in general and how they sometimes ruin shows.
That's a very good way to kind of start off. I think that's a great homework assignment. What was the other one you had in mind, just in curiosity?
Oh, I was gonna say Andor, because I haven't watched it, and to my understanding, it's the only good Star Wars show. So,
Believe it or not, that's the first Star Wars show that I didn't finish. Not because I thought it was bad, but just because it was a slog.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's the only one I've heard good things about. So I'm like, if we were really not into Has-Been, we could do that. But
I'm all for us like having to have Has-Been by the time we get back together. Given that like there's only like a handful of episodes, like I could knock this out while I'm at work, easy.
yeah,
I'm cool with
Have
that.
something to talk about, and then based on watching it on Amazon, I'm pretty sure it'll be all over my algorithm, so I'll have a sense of what's up with the fan base.
And do you know generally like what it's about, either of you?
No.
Okay. I do want to stress just two things about it. One, it takes place in hell. So it involves a lot of bad people in it, which is like upset some people to begin with. So
So
it's
we
kind
can
of it is
expect to see Hitler and like all of our greatest hits.
no, no. It centers around certain characters, and it is also a musical. So
Oh, okay.
Okay.
yes, I will say it's partially musical. There's usually
Musical
two songs
numbers.
per episode, but I will say they have a like all Broadway cast, so they're like professionally produced and really well done songs. So if you are, you know, hesitant about that, it's the best it can be, and because it is like owned by A24 now, the animation is oh yeah, the pilot is a little rough because it's different voice actors and also it was a bunch of random people animating it. So just be aware of that. When it was bought out, obviously it's professional animators now. They've been working on it for several years and it's all a Broadway cast now. So
I'm sure I will appreciate the jank.
the animation's beautiful. So yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. Ooh.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that is all we have for our first ever episode. Thanks everybody for watching. We're gonna have all of our social medias and stuff linked down below. You can catch me on TC8K Media Productions on most things. Seth, where can people find you?
I am that Seth23 on TikTok, and that's it, actually.
Yeah, no, respect that. Brie, you have anything you want to plug?
I don't, to be honest with you. Maybe I'll be on Twitch again in the near or distant future. I'm Raccoonaloon, and that's really the only thing that I have. So I don't really have a public Instagram or anything else.
You'll have to get on Twitch so you can spend time with your partner again.
Yes, maybe, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
All right, well, I appreciate you guys spending the time, and we'll go ahead and call it a night. Thanks, everyone.
Cool, cool. Bye.